just down a $500 million budget shortfall. Some lawmakers in Lansing think this is the perfect time for you to pay for their swanky new offices.
It's a story 7 investigator Ross Jones has been following for months now, and he's here with the very latest. Ross, is this a done deal or what?
Not quite yet, Carolyn and Stephen. Good evening. After our first report, the Senate hit a few roadblocks on this deal, but they're still pushing it through, preparing to buy a $51 million office building, while other state departments are preparing for cuts.
Now, former Senate Majority Leader Randy Richardville would have you believe that moving senators out of this building they already own here in Lansing and into posh new offices just down the road is a no-brainer.
You can question motives and you can question everything, but this is a damn good business decision.
But even as the project moves closer to being final, plenty are still raising questions about whether it really makes sense. As we first told you last July, Richardville, who was term limited out in January, is the man behind a plan to leave the Billy S. Farnham building behind. It's been the home to Michigan senators since the 1970s, and while it could definitely use some work, many senators we talked to found it to be more than adequate.
It's a good, solid building. It just needs some updating.
You have maintenance issues with everything from bathrooms to lighting, but it gets done.
It's accessible and it's spacious.
I think it's serving its purpose, and I think it's serving its purpose well.
While senators did vote 22-14 to give permission to sell the old building, it proved to be a much tougher sell in the House. And this video from a House hearing discussing the move may explain why. Last year, Secretary of the Senate Carol Viventi came before a House subcommittee pitching the idea of moving out of the Farnham. One of the reasons she gave for a move, that not all senators had a nice view in their current building.
Not all of the offices face the Capitol. Is that the crux of the problem?
Pretty much.
Isn't this an expensive proposition for taxpayers in order to make sure that senators get a better view of the Capitol?
It's actually, like I said, it's similar. The goal would be hopefully to provide office space for everyone that's similar.
But better views are far from the only reason being given for a move to nicer offices. A big reason for the move, says Richardville, is security. He wants Senate offices to be more like House offices, which he said are much safer. At least he thought.
House office building actually does have detectors and does have people that you have to check in before you can get inside.
Doesn't have metal detectors, sir.
No, but they have people that are there that check your credentials and all before you go in.
There are people in the Farnham building who do the same thing.
The back door can be open in the Farnham building. You're also disconnected from the parking structure. Pardon me?
Couldn't you just lock the back door?
No, because it can be unlocked.
And back in that House subcommittee, the Senate Secretary learned a few things as well.
You require people coming into the building to either sign in if they're going into your offices. You sign in at the base place.
Once people walk through the security checkpoint downstairs, they go to whatever elevator bank they want to go to, and nobody watches them, nobody checks to see which way they go.
I see. Maybe your building isn't functioning the way that I was originally told that it would.
Security and bad views aside, Senator Richardville said the biggest reason a new building is needed is that fixing up the old one would cost more than $25 million. But even Governor Rick Snyder's administration said that's not true. According to the state, the cost to fix up the Farnham building could be as low as about $11.5 million.
Some of your colleagues, including some Republicans, say that the renovations that you have said are dire are not actually that necessary.
Well, there's not a single person in the Michigan Senate that has looked through the engineering report that we got.
And apparently, no one ever will. We asked twice to see a copy of the engineering report to look over the math that even state officials say is wrong. Our requests have been ignored.
Now, 4 companies submitted bids to provide the Senate their new headquarters, and the one that scored the highest was submitted by Lansing developer Ron Bogie. Now, we mentioned that the House of Representatives needs to give the Senate permission to sell its old building before they can then buy their new one. But so far, the House hasn't even let this issue come to the floor. That has not stopped the Senate from moving forward, though. Today, they're getting their ducks in a row to buy the $51 million building by floating bonds through the Michigan Strategic Fund. They hope by the time the process is done, the House will have green-lighted this deal.
Now, Ross, $51 million, that's a major expense. That's like what we call real money.
It's more than real money.
Have you had a chance to look through the bids on this?
Well, we asked to look through the bids. As we mentioned, there were 4, and we were told we're not allowed to see them. The Senate says they are not subject to the Freedom of Information Act, which means more or less they said we need to trust them on this. So we're not allowed to even see these bids for such a major expense. It raises a lot of questions.
So as of right now, it's sort of moving forward.
It's moving forward. They plan to get this done. The House still needs to give it their blessing.